Yay! Wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking with me. Season one was a journey and a whirlwind, especially with your character, Elton. At the end, you finally learned the truth what happened to your mother, and you went off to go find Silas. I was wondering for now with season two, now having that information, does that change Elton as a person and how he approaches people who he thinks he can trust?
I think it does, especially because he had so much trust in Hope, and he and Hope were, becoming great friends.
Mhm.
Then all of a sudden she drops the bombshell. Hey, I killed your mom, dude. That's going to do something to you. That is definitely going to change you. And I feel like in real life, past experiences influence future experiences. So you're definitely going to see how Elton changes how he interacts with other people in the apocalypse. He was already very trusting.
Right.
Not to say he's going to become this negative, don't talk to anybody, this sort of recluse. But he definitely keeps that in mind. You don't really forget that conversation. So I feel like that lives in the back of his head now.
Right. So the whole purpose for Elton going on this journey was to find his mom. With that information now known, what would you say is his next purpose?
I think it's a lot about, when you're talking about the apocalypse, of course, there's the blanket, just survive, live to see another day. It is a dangerous world. You got to make it to the next day. And with Elton, it's never been an issue of if he wants to. With some characters, maybe they complete one arc and they're like, all right, well, I got my revenge. I did my due diligence. I did whatever. And now they're like, well, now I'm just here. And when you're just here in an apocalypse, it's not the best experience. So with Elton, you see in season two, of course, everybody is dealing with the CRM. Now this is this huge threat, and Elton has to decide whether or not he wants to help out, because he did go on the journey to finish his mom's manuscript and do all that stuff. But he was also there to help the sisters. He still really sees them as friends and he wants to help them. So as you see in season two, you'll see that. You'll see his helping hand come in and just be a good friend.
Can you say whether or not he can forgive Hope?
I mean, of course I have my thing, but it's a TV show. There's teams of writers that make this character. There's directors that like kind of mold the character. So I've never found it fair for me to be the end all be all, but of course I have, I do believe that he can forgive her, just because Elton is such an interesting character. The main thing for me was when I read that reveal, that conversation between Hope and Elton, I thought it would go very differently. I thought it was going to be a big freak out thing. Elton was going to, turn into a completely different person. But you see how reserved he is, and you still see how zen and just incredible. I mean, his ability to not like instantly want to murder this girl because she killed his mom, that's crazy. So I think, Elton can also find it in him to forgive, but maybe that's harder. Maybe that's harder than killing her.
Ooh, wow. I like that. That's deep.
Look at that. I'm intellectual. I got brain power.
One of the catchphrases that you say is the wind always wins. So with that said, do you still believe that? And will there be a new catchphrase for the new season?
I wish it was just a thing they give Elton a bunch of catchphrases. That would be funny for him to speak in like just different things that he always calls back to. But Elton's very much still about the wind. That's his life mantra, I think. It was passed down from his mom. And even though he learns this revelation about her, about how she was a murderer, she doesn't practice what she preaches about all this, saving nature. She killed a part of nature. She killed another human being. That definitely did a lot for Elton, but I think he still believes that the wind always wins. And it's a good mantra, especially in the apocalypse. You're definitely not going to be in control of a lot of things when you're out there. So to just kind of hand it off to this other entity of the wind, I think it comforts him, and he's still going to follow it.
What can you say that remains consistent to Elton, even though everything has changed around him?
At his core, he is still that same wise Zen, like 50 years above his age mentally. Like he is still that guy. He's still that guy. He's just smart. He's still got it. He doesn't give in to these like barbaric, tendencies that the apocalypse tends to bring out in people. He's still very, grounded. He's well-centered. He's a well-centered dude. He is like doing remarkably well for a dude in the apocalypse. I mean, he hasn't gone crazy at all. So that's admirable.
That's true. Now, looking back on the first season.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you know, okay.
Okay, looking back on the first season and now with the second season, what do you, Nicholas, if you could give advice to Elton, what would it be?
Kill more zombies because it's fun for me to do on set. Definitely get into more altercations, have more fights. I want to fight.
That's great. I would love to see that
as Nicholas.
as an actor, as Nicholas.
Because it's fun for me. Yeah.
Wonderful. And for this season, what would you say the overall message is?
For season 2?
For season 2.
I think it definitely carries a lot of the things that it was pushing from the first season, just to more of an extreme. And you get to see the ideals that it set up really put to the test. And you see, you know, this gray world that these characters live in. You see that not everything's black and white, and that especially in the apocalypse, there's a lot of gray areas. And so I think you see different lessons from different characters. In order to give the whole season one message, I think it's unfair, because you see a lot through all these different characters. And I could name off a bunch. You see the positivity from Elton. You see the hardened battle strategies and the warrior, like being a warrior from Nico. You get a lot, you know? So I think it's unfair to give it just one big hope or something. But so, if I did hope, I guess.
Oh, I like that. Hope is the key to everything. So one of the questions that was raised by another character is, what is your truth? So for you, what would you say is Elton's truth in season 2?
It's a very good question. I feel like he's definitely been knocked around by the apocalypse ever since leaving the walls. He's definitely, you know, it's done a number on him. But I think his truth is still, I think it's still in curiosity. He's still curious about the world. He's still curious about people. And I think he's more curious about himself. I think he looks inside a lot in this next season. So I think curiosity.
If Elton had the opportunity to speak to his mother, Carrie, what message would you think he would say?
At what point, like, everything his mother, like, you
now,
know, let's say she killed Hope's mom and she lived and I got to meet her.
Right.
Okay. What would he say? That is so tough. I'm writing the scene in my head. I don't know. I feel like definitely he would, I feel like with his mother, it would be way harder to control the anger. Because with Hope, I mean, you know, he got the situation from her point of view, but if he saw his mother in person after knowing that she was a murderer and she is not about her word and everything that she taught Elton, I think there would be a huge argument. I don't know what exactly he would say, but it definitely wouldn't be a fun conversation. It wouldn't be like, "Hey mom, how you doing? How have you been? Apocalypse treating you well?" No, I think he would be pretty mean, I think.
If you can say, I know your goal as Elton is to go and meet up with Silas. What would you say is the end goal? Like the
end
reason,
goal.
The end goal for both of you, if you can say.
For me and Silas?
For you meeting up with Silas and going off on your journeys.
I think when we meet Silas, I want to go see where everybody else is at. I want to see where Hope is. I want to see where Iris is. I need to see Felix. All these people that I've grown attached to, I've been pulled away from. At the end of the first season, we see that Elton and Percy are just, you know, trekking at it alone. So I think his goal is to kind of recoup and be with this, you know, new family that he's made in the apocalypse. He wants to, you know, bring the family back together. He wants to get the band back together. That's what Elton's about.
That scene with Percy, where basically he's kind of a ghost and you're with him walking along, was very impactful. Can you say if that, not saying that his death-ish, if how that impacted Elton moving forward?
I feel like that's when, first off, it was a very introspective moment, especially on the hill, because I guess Elton had been on the road for days and he doesn't have food or water. So he starts imagining this version of Percy next to dead Percy, I guess. And so that part is very introspective, but he also, once he nurses Percy back to health, he sees this other guy with different views and different opinions and different, you know, strategies for survival. So you get to see how they clash and you get to see how they interact and where, you know, they don't meet up all the time. Sometimes Elton has a different goal than Percy. And I think he learns, you know, the kind of, human interactive concept of the apocalypse. Because Elton could go out the apocalypse alone. He's good in his heart. He's set, but once you start interacting with people, that brings in a new storm of problems and issues and good things too. So I think he's really realizing that in order to have the best relationship with a person, he's got to open up.
Do you feel that Elton can sometimes be sheltered in how people really are? He always sees the best in people.
Yeah.
And because of that, will he kind of listen more instead of imagining what people could be?
You definitely see you see him become more of an observer in this second season. In the first season, he definitely does think the best of people. And he still does. I mean, his world was rocked, but at his core, he still has hope for humanity and the world. So you definitely see in the second season, he keeps with it, but he's more attentive because you can't hear the news that, somebody you trusted killed your mom and not be like, all right, so I'm just going to go trust everybody else now in the world. They can't harm me. So it's a double-edged sword.
And lastly, I was wondering, this is a huge ensemble. Is there a particular character that you would have loved to seen Elton interact with?
One that I haven't previously interacted with?
Yes, previously that you never acted with before.
I mean, I got to meet so many great new characters in season 2. Maybe Jadis. I think so.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I like that. And just say everything works out for you. Just imagine that looking into Elton's adult life, how do you think he will reflect upon this period?
Well, that's assuming he makes it to adulthood because
yes,
the apocalypse it's a tough world.
Yeah, you have the theory that it's going to end any moment.
Right. So if he gets to adulthood and he gets the privilege to reflect on his life, because I feel like if you're out there in the apocalypse, you got to be in the moment. Because if you're looking back on past mistakes, you're going to get caught up in it and then you're going to die. But if he was able to, I think he would, like anybody, he would learn a lot about himself at that time, and he would use that. I guess he would take some of his qualities from then and apply them to himself in the future. Everybody looks back on things that they wish they could have done or things that, didn't happen. But I feel like Elton would definitely be at peace with his past self and all the horrors that he saw. Because I would imagine he'd just go on to see worse stuff. I mean, the apocalypse it doesn't get better. It only gets worse. So I think he would maybe look back on it fondly. He would look back on his friends and the camaraderie and, the adventure that he had. It would definitely be a bittersweet thing though. Because, you can only have so much good in the apocalypse. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry.
All good.
It's all good. So I do hope that Elton survives.
Yes, me too.
And we do see an adult version maybe one day down the line in a little flash forward. But for you, I was wondering, what has this whole experience been working on the show?
Just awesome. I mean, this is the first time I'd been on a TV show, and to just jump right into the Walking Dead cinematic universe or TV universe. It's been great. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just been awesome. Being on set every day, getting to work, having the privilege of meeting such great people, such great, creative minds coming together to make this fun show. I'm forever thankful. I'm always going to, look back on it fondly and the experience that I had. It was great. I'm very, very thankful.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. I truly enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Have a good